Hello, how does your brain remember places and directions? Have you ever arrived in a new city, stepped out of the train, bus, or airport, and somehow just felt which way to go? Or maybe you've been asked where another city is, and you instinctively pointed in a certain direction. How did you know that? And more importantly, how accurate were you? This is a video about how the human brain remembers places, estimates directions, and navigates spaces without even seeing them. Cognitive maps, as scientists would refer to them, begin in a region in our brains called the hippocampus. In 1971, neuroscientist John O'Keefe discovered that some neurons, located in this region, got activated whenever a person was in a specific location. He called these neurons place cells. Think of them as being mental waypoints that mark places you've been before. Another group of scientists in 2005, May-Britt and Edvard Moser, discovered the so-called grid cells in the entorhinal cortex. These cells were believed to work like an internal coordinate system, mapping out your environment as you move. These two discoveries, place cells and grid cells, became what scientists call a cognitive map. This is why for some individuals, even if they are in a completely unfamiliar place, their brains can estimate directions almost accurately. But if it is true that our brains have a natural mapping system, then why do we get lost? Or why do a good number of people choose to use physical maps, compass directions, landmarks, and even GPS systems to trace where they are? It turns out that our brains are not perfect. Studies have shown that people's sense of direction is influenced by subtle cues, like the position of the sun, landmarks, and even cultural factors. A study conducted by Frankenstein et al. In 2012 found that people's ability to point toward unseen cities was surprisingly inconsistent. Although participants were very confident about directions, more often they were incorrect. This study could serve as an example to suggest that our brains rely on assumptions, like roads running straight, maps being north up, or familiar cities being closer than they actually are. To try and overcome this limitation of our brains, technologies to help us in navigating have ever since been developed. From traditional ways such as using stars and landforms, to the modern GPS technology, not forgetting to mention the magnetic compass of the 20th century. Now, what happens when we rely on technology instead of our brains? Research by Véronique Bohbot done in 2015 found that heavy GPS users show reduced activity in the hippocampus. This is the part in our brains that helps in memory and learning. The findings of this research matter because reduced hippocampal activity is also linked to memory decline, poor decision-making, and difficulty with problem-solving and planning. So do I suggest we ditch GPS? Not necessarily, but maybe we should practice natural navigation more often, like paying attention to landmarks or mentally mapping our routes. We can also exercise the hippocampus by doing other activities such as learning a new skill just for the sake of enhancing our brain's memory and learning abilities. In conclusion, your brain is capable of incredible feats of navigation, sometimes more than you realize. But like any skill, it needs practice. So next time you go somewhere new, try finding your way without a GPS. You might be surprised at how well your brain adapts, and if apart from visiting places, you may also love to create videos like this one, you can do that for free using InVideo. InVideo helps you to overcome the challenging tasks of looking for footages online, and this saves you time. If you are a beginner, no prior skills are needed. Why don't you try it out using the link in the description below? If you're interested in learning more about cognitive maps, check out the studies by O'Keefe in 1971, Moser and Moser in 2005, Frankenstein et al. In 2012 and Bohbot in 2015, they offer a deeper look into the science behind navigation. I have attached a link to some of these in the description below, and if it is your first time to see this channel, consider subscribing for more content like this. Until next time, stay curious.